We're
live.
Yeah, it's the tank top episode.
It is time for less clothes because it's summer AF.
Summer AF.
Well, y'all got the early dose of summer. We're just now in San Diego having the consistent, sometimes it's humid, sometimes it's dry summer effect, but not great.
My chest hair is not doing me any favors in this weather.
Oh my god.
Okay, I think we can get started. You want to start the show?
Sure. What do I do? Walk me through it.
I've been transitioning to more of a just, I don't know, not even introducing the show really. But we can do, like, I'm fine doing both also, like, switching it up.
Okay. Welcome to the function call. This is Austin. I'm Grant.
No, this is Austin.
That's okay. They can't hear that I'm pointing.
Okay. Generally speaking, no. Maybe someone out there can.
Like, real sensitive ears.
Let's test it out. If you are not cheating and watching the stream and you're just listening, which way am I pointing? How about now? It's a silly practice because they can't answer anyway. Just message me or something. If
they get it right, what do they win?
I'll be really impressed.
That's something. Ooh, yeah. Bonus points right there.
Yeah, that's when we'll really know, is because in the middle of talking, they'll just hear like pointing. That's when we'll really know.
What we should do is, encode some sort of up, down, left, right, BA, select, start into our episode, and that'll unlock something on our amazing fan site, which is going to be made in Vuex and Nuxt. It's Nuxt. That's what I was thinking. Nuxt and Vuex.
Vuex?
Yeah, isn't it like with there's like a J in there somewhere?
Definitely not.
Okay, I don't know.
Hey, Grant.
Hello.
We're talking about something today that you are interested in, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's more just like some ideas than anything that's going to be super concrete.
Okay, that sounds great. But before we talk about the things that you're interested in, can we talk about something that I'm interested in?
Okay.
Because I know that this show, like this show is your show, that like you introduced the subject or suggested it, but I have a small thing. I mean, that's just disregard that. Let's move on.
Tell me more.
I have a small topic that I wanted to cover before we get into the main topic. And that is, so, my company, we went through a little like upscaling event. And so now we're getting into like big boy territory with enterprise software development and stuff. And we're kind of going through a growth phase or a transition phase between, what was working in our software development process, which was shoot from the hip and ask questions later sort of thing, where, the guy that we hired to kind of help with this transition, he like asked me where we keep notes or where we keep tasks. And I was like, I just embarrassingly lifted up this piece of paper with a bunch of things scratched out on it. I was like, yeah, man. I mean, it works for me. So yeah, that doesn't work when you get into enterprise level. So we are transitioning to using Jira. Do you know Jira?
I've heard of Gojira.
Oh my gosh.
This is exactly where the name came from, right?
No, is it? No, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't
it's true.
You.
It's 100% true. Yes.
I need a reference
once, and I don't remember where But it was from some reputable source. And that is one of my favorite Jira facts, is that the name
you're gonna find
references
that source, and you're gonna put that source in the show notes because I need to see that.
Okay.
But do you use Jira at work?
Yeah.
Okay. I think as far as like the universe that I live in, most big, like Jira is the biggest tool in terms of like project management for software development. And it's interesting. I've used it before. I don't like it. But it's like I don't like it, but I still have to say it's the best tool out there for this because it does like, all of the Scrum style project management tasks, and you've got Kanban, and you've got sprints, and you've got burn downs, and all this stuff, and it integrates with GitHub, and GitHub integrates with Jira and whatever. So I'm working right now on figuring out how to do the GitHub Jira connection so that they talk to each other and there's like cohesion there.
Yeah, you need like a branch naming convention that allows it to know like what's happening.
Yeah, have you set that up?
I've not set that up, but I'm familiar with like the branch naming stuff and the enforcement because I'm setting that up currently.
Okay, and do you guys do the whole like referencing Jira task IDs in your Git comments and stuff like that so that did you actually set up where you can have a pull request that when it closes, it also closes a task in Jira?
We have it so that it makes a comment, but it does not close the task. And part of that is because our workflow, the development work doesn't close a task. The QA work closes a task. I have a very different opinion on how that should work, but that's how it works.
Well, let's say not close, but you have it so that a developer workflow or a commit can transition it to ready for review or like a different status, right? So it goes like this is in a to-do state, and then I make a change and I submit that code, and in my Git commit message, I put some little magic formula that tells Jira, hey, take this task and move it from to do to either in progress or like ready for review or something like that.
I mean, I'm aware that it's possible.
Okay, but you don't actually do that.
No, that's not something that we have currently.
Okay.
We also don't have like super up-to-date Jira. We use like an internally hosted instance. We don't use Jira Cloud, which brings its own problem. Like, do you guys have that level of this is a security concern where I work. So like we have to internally host, like we have GitHub Enterprise. We don't use GitHub Cloud. My team uses GitHub Cloud now because we just work on the internet.
Congratulations.
We don't need to deal with the rest of that stuff. Yeah, it's like huge upgrade. We also may be able to use Jira Cloud, which would be great. But we have
well, I don't know. No, I don't think that's a security issue for us. So
cool. That'll be great. Like it'll
be great, but man, it's a nightmare. And you know what? I've used Jira before. Can't stand the UI.
So if there are any developers listening that use Jira and have not done this yet, if you're familiar with React and Redux, open up Redux DevTools in Jira. It will tell you why that software behaves the way it does. That Redux store has one of the wildest access patterns I have ever seen. Isn't
that only available in development mode?
It should be.
Okay, then.
Right?
Okay, then. We're just gonna move on from that.
for sure. I mean, I know some developers at Atlassian, and I know they have like they have very good developers that work there. So it's not like a big problem. It just is a thing that I've looked at and have been aware of and found interesting.
Oh yeah, no shade on the developers. I'm sure that they could code circles around me. if that's a thing.
Coding circles around somebody. Okay.
Yeah, you can use SVG, CSS.
Yeah. I mean, I really only want to use Jira if it's written purely in CSS. My favorite programming language. I can't even hold my face straight.
No, you can't. That's funny.
Excuse me. So through the rest of the episode, please extend me some excuse because I'm getting over a cold.
Oh man,
some sort of upper respiratory infection that is not COVID. We tested negative for that. So,
hey man, you got to quit smoking like 10 packs a day.
Oh man, dude, I used to smoke cigars. It was so good.
Ugh.
Yeah, not since my son was born. I'm just can't do it anymore. Now I need to live forever.
Cool. Well, that was a nice little segue into the topic that we're covering today, which is Grant. Drum roll.
It's a bit of like a philosophical discussion about blind spots in being a developer, an engineer, or whatever you want to call yourself, right? So like we're all, I think, generally familiar with the idea that like we're both self-taught developers. Like I didn't go to college for this. I to be totally frank, didn't go to college for very long. It just was not my gig. But what that brings with it when you are a developer without a CS background, typically there are concerns around your blind spots as a developer, right? So like you don't have theoretical background on programming at large. And I think in some places that's important. Like we're talking a little bit now about enterprise software, which I think when you're working at scale, having a broader understanding can have its benefits, right? And you had mentioned you guys hired somebody to help you to scale some of this stuff, right?
Yeah, and this was around the Jira stuff.
Right. Do you guys have like project managers?
Yes.
Okay. So at my company, like these, yeah. So at my company, it's not exclusively the domain of project managers, but Jira and Jira setup in general, like handling that flow, is much more like project management, business. Like they're much more in charge of that, and engineering kind of just adheres to whatever flow they come up with. Which in general, since these are experienced project managers and they tend to kind of know what they're doing, is like some sane process, right? With like little nitpicks here and there, like I talked about. I would rather see separate QA tasks than one task that goes through dev, then to QA, and then closes. And I think there are like pros and cons to both sides of that, right? But I think this leads into kind of what I'm talking about, is because you guys have hired somebody who has experience in a specific domain to kind of help you set things up in that way, right?
Hope so.
Okay. So right, and I have freelanced as a person with experience in a specific domain to help people to handle very specific stacks and problems, right?
Yes.
As you have as well, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
That seems to be a very common thing. Now, there's good reason for that, right? Historically, I think.
So hold on. It sounds like you're going into a little bit of the specialist versus generalist thing. Am I picking that up right?
Nope.
Okay, then let me know.
No. So I think that there may be a bit of that, but generally, I'm not going there because I think that specialists are often themselves blinded by their own experience, and that's the gist of what I'm getting at here. But take a little walk with me and we'll kind of get
Let's
there,
go.
right?
Hold my hand.
As self-taught developers, we're made aware, and it is well known that like we have these blind spots. But in many other disciplines, you can see evidence of what I'm talking about, and I think it might be easier to make an analogy. My wife was actually telling me a story about her coworker. She works in commercial real estate, and her coworker has worked for a general contractor for a very long time and has just now moved over to commercial real estate. Okay. So, in that world, the concern for commercial real estate and development is around, at least for the investment side of it, which is the side that my wife's company works, is around minimizing liability and ensuring that when things happen like construction, they get paid and they don't get sued. This makes sense, right? Like we're looking after our financial benefit. Whereas this coworker of my wife's, considering everything in her history and experiences from working for a GC, she's concerned about just a general contractor, right? Getting things done and just getting the project work out of the way. Like
building a dope ass.
Yeah, building out the T-Mobile store.
Okay.
This is literally the kind of stuff that they do, right? So not crazy, stuff, but stuff that's important and people could get hurt while they're doing it, and insurance needs to be in place. And so this coworker of hers continues to have this perception through the eyes of the general contractor.
Okay, I see what you're saying. See where you're going with this.
You see where this very, very long abstract walk is going.
Yeah, okay. We're no longer a show about web development.
Well, that's because we're not an island, right? Web development, and I think a lot of people who come from other careers, like I do, bring with them other assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
my dog Nugget.
Like your dog Nugget, which, by the way, you really need to get some Robin Hood pictures going.
Some Robin Hood. Oh, pictures of him like dressed up like Robin Hood, like Disney's Robin Hood,
or any other Disney character. I think there needs to be a Nugget series.
Yeah. I mean, Disney, if you want to like approach me on that, we're open.
There's advertising dollars in it, believe me.
Yeah, I am his. I'm his what? What do they call him?
Agent.
I'm his agent.
Representation.
Yes.
Legal guardian.
Okay, so getting back on track, you're like going into the conversation of where people bring so much experience to a role, but it's not directly related to the needs of the job, and so they are kind of inadvertently introducing these blind spots, or not introducing, but they're bringing along blind spots that are relevant to their previous roles, but not necessarily relevant to the job at hand.
Right. And so I think there's this downside to experience, right? Like we all see the memes where job listings are asking for 10 years of experience in React when the library's only been out, 7-8 years now?
Yeah.
Right.
That's not really the same thing though, right?
Well, but we all see these ridiculous memes about how this technology is way newer than the experience level needed for a senior role and whatever, right? And so like these demands for roles, obviously they want somebody with some experience. We don't want people building software, especially like at the enterprise level where there's lots and lots of users and honestly, in a lot of cases, heavy liability. We don't want people who don't know what they're doing building stuff. But we also don't want people who have so much experience, they really can only see one way of doing things, or they become very comfortable with a specific path of accomplishing a task. Right.
Where all you have is a hammer and everything looks like a nail.
Exactly
Kind
that.
of.
So we had a conversation about our show just before the show, and I found the results of that conversation very interesting. I said we're going to table it, we're going to bring it up now, and so we were talking
I thought
about
we were going to do that as a different show. I want to do that as a different
you want to do
show.
it as a different show, but it makes my point so
Yeah.
perfectly.
Okay. Let's touch on it.
Okay. So, in the spirit of touching on it,
Yes.
we were discussing the need to build some sort of site for the show, and
Which we do have, thefncall.com. Like, subscribe, follow.
Oh yeah, thefncall.com. Do it. So we were discussing that, and we were discussing a stack around that, and immediately Austin says what?
That we should go to WordPress to build something with like dynamic content. Like, essentially, we would have like a different blog post for each episode. So something that can handle blogging.
Okay. And so, like, the argument that you're making makes absolute sense. It makes perfect sense, right? It's very, very simple. It's actually a platform that is built to do exactly that. I do, however, find it interesting because my immediate prescription, and I was trying to like pander to you a little bit, was to use.
You were actually
Vuxt.
Well,
what is it called?
It's definitely not Vuxt. I think the actual order of events was that you suggested first that we should build it in the Vue Next thing, right?
Right.
And then you were caught off guard when I was like, no. We're not going to use something like Nuxt. We're just going to use WordPress.
Oh, Nuxt. That's right. That's what it is.
Nuxt, not Vuxt.
Nuxt.
Vuxt sounds like...
Dude, Vuxt is great. Somebody needs to make a
Vuxt
library.
Vuxt is the Vue equivalent of telling someone off. It's like, dude, get Vuxt.
Oh my god. It's so
now
perfect.
you need a React approach.
Ruxt? Rec?
No, that sounds like you're about to party.
Ruxt. So,
man, last night's conference was so ruxed. Anyway,
it all sounds bad.
Okay, we should tone it in.
But I happen to know that Austin's
like 10 years.
Austin got his start in WordPress.
Yeah.
So this is one of your very comfortable old tools, right? This is something that
Trusty.
like, yeah, this is your hammer.
Okay.
Right. I happen to know that WordPress would require hosting. It would require us to run some sort of server.
Which we got.
Require us to run some sort of database.
Which we got.
Instead of something that could be what you would argue a better end result, static flat files hosted that do nothing. Because we have no need for dynamic content to spin up. Like, we're going to be spinning out a little bit of new content and potentially editing old content. Like, there's an argument to be made that this could all just live as flat files, right? And so
no, totally agree.
WordPress as tooling makes sense from like an editorial perspective, right?
Yes, and a maintenance perspective. I'm saying maintenance.
Potentially. Well, so there are some solutions around this.
Site.
Right. Neither of us do. Like, neither of us want that.
Great.
But it's interesting to me that your solution, because your kind of expertise in that domain, you're like, this is like the easiest path. It's the easiest route. Like, we can just spin up like a WordPress thing and it'll be done.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is like it's not because I used to work at an agency building WordPress sites. It's because now I build a lot of Vue stuff lately, and a lot of the React, which could easily translate over to static. I've done some static stuff. Like Netlify CMS could even be like the cool static thing that we use for editing that could make the editing experience really easy.
Netlify CMS that publishes to a Git repository that uses Eleventy to static render everything. Done.
Yeah. I've done that. Exactly. But I don't want to have to make a change to the website at some point, pull down the repo like 6 months from now and have NPM screaming at me, oh, you have a bunch of outdated and vulnerable dependencies. You better do an upgrade. And I'll be like, cool, NPM, thanks for the heads up. Let me NPM update everything. And then all of a sudden, oops, nothing works on the site, and I have to spend like 8 hours debugging everything just to roll back to the old version that worked, and then like I just don't want to do that for a site like this.
Well, okay. But here's the thing, right?
So wait. And I've also built a bunch of like sites recently for family friends or my friends or whoever, aunts, uncles, whatever. And every one of them, I'm not going to build them a Nuxt static website, even if they don't change their content in a year. I'm throwing them on WordPress, throwing them onto some hosting environment, and they're just going to be out the door. Like drag and drop page builders, and making changes is super easy. It's just a
So for that, where they may need to
problem.
Okay, for something like that where they may need to. So like if we're talking security vulnerabilities, I think your argument's going to fall apart pretty quickly when you're running a WordPress server.
I'm not talking about WordPress securities. I'm saying NPM is arguing and leading me to have to update dependencies. It's not vulnerabilities that I'm worried about with NPM.
Okay.
It's maintenance.
It's just
overhead.
Ignoring those warnings is hard for you.
It's pain.
I love it, ignoring all the warnings.
Yeah,
they've never mattered and never will matter to me. The automated pull requests, those do bother me. Like that is some nosy stuff right there. Anyway.
Yeah, you can turn that off.
But so this is the argument that I'm trying to make, is that your level of experience has potentially blinded you in this particular scenario to a much simpler solution, right? And like it's not
simpler, but simpler how? Because you still have to build the damn thing. How long is it going to take you to build a website with Next?
Well, okay, no. My potential stack would probably be 11D.
Okay, 11D. How long is it going to take you from scratch?
Wait, hang on. 11D starter projects. Rocket 11D. Yarn add Rocket 11D, 11D start. Done.
All right.
Like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And
there's
no database. There's no server. Yeah. There are dependencies, right?
Yeah.
But if we use something like you were talking about, like Netlify CMS, we're talking about something that publishes Markdown to a GitHub repo that the 11D build process just spits out static files. Like this all lives on the edge. This is incredibly simple. You've got a very straightforward content management interface to handle all of this, right? So like all of our bases are covered. And here's the thing. The overall solution, like this specific stack that I've just said, doesn't really matter. The broader point that I'm making is that everybody with deeper experience. So if I talked about this to another developer who is maybe more well-versed in Drupal or runs some other
you're making your point. It's hidden. I gotcha.
Okay.
You're saying that because I have so much experience with WordPress, I don't even want to bother with these other things because I know that it's easy and works and I can just get it up and running.
For you. If I tried to build something in WordPress, I would die.
Right. But if I were versed in something else, I would reach for that other thing. So it's not necessarily a question of what is the best solution for the problem at hand.
Right.
But that's still like relevant, right? Like you don't pick, like if we had a team of PHP developers, professional expert grade level PHP developers, we probably wouldn't pick a solution like 11T, right?
Right.
And that's
this is also why companies should care about this level of blindness as well, because what is the market full of?
Bad recruiters.
Okay, you're not wrong, but we've got a huge market with
junior developers.
Lots of junior developers who are trained in, and I'm putting huge air quotes around this for the listeners, the latest and greatest JavaScript framework, whatever that may be, right? So their training is around something that is a bit more modern, but lacks a lot of the refinement, polish that we might say exists in the WordPress or Drupal world, where there's like huge ecosystems and things like that. I don't know. I think React has a massive ecosystem that's pretty well polished. 11D, not so much. A conversation at work came up around God, what is the new JavaScript framework that Adam Rakis is like big on? I'm forgetting now.
Is it the Apollo thing?
No. It's Svelte. That's the deal.
Is it Svelte?
Yeah, it was Svelte. So the conversation came up like, if we're going to be open to changing stacks, which like I totally am. Like I'm not dogmatic around React. React is the mental model that fits best in my head currently. But Svelte, if there were a more mature ecosystem around it and a larger selection of developers to hire in it that have experience with solving enterprise level problems with that as their solution, I think it would be a really, really good direction to go. But as things stand, that just isn't, as far as I know, the case.
So that's an interesting point, and I think it's a both and. It's like, I think within the context of the team that you have like it's probably better to play it to the strengths of the team, but you also should not completely disregard the fact that there might be other things worth exploring, right?
Yeah.
And that could be influenced by some of these junior developers that even though they have less experience than someone else, a senior developer on the team, they are maybe more up to date with modern technologies or what's available or how the industry is shifting and trends, right? Because technologies get outdated, and with those outdated technologies, people's skills and experience become outdated.
Right.
In some cases.
Which is why I find it particularly interesting that we have a very experience-driven hierarchy system in development across the board, right?
Yeah.
So when I deal with somebody who's at the architect level, I deal with somebody who's at the staff software or distinguished whatever. Like I'm dealing with people who never worked in modern JavaScript. Like that was so far removed from their career, like it is difficult for them to fathom what the modern web is capable of, right? So like, there, and don't get me wrong, right? Like there are plenty of folks in those positions who stay very up to date and on top of it, but I think there are just as many who allow that to slip enough to where I think it hurts their projects. And I think
it may not be slipping. It's like, as I get more experience, and can you hear that? That's like my floor.
Ooh.
Anyway, as I get more experience, I see that I spend more time in meetings and maybe more time across the stack. And as I spend more time, like even if it's development time, but it's across multiple areas in the stack, my skills at the one particular part of the stack that I used to be really good at is maybe not so good, or it's too difficult to stay up to date with modern CSS or modern JavaScript or modern Node or whatever, because I'm spending too much time jumping around or in meetings or talking to stakeholders or setting up Jira or whatever.
Or setting up Jira. Yeah, the ultimate waste of time.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like necessarily letting it slip. It's developing different skills. Really, that's what it is. Yeah. I don't know. I think like this conversation just makes me think back to that quote that like opinions should be, or you should have strong opinions weakly held.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's like,
fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that having a scientific mindset where I have beliefs, but I am happy to be proven wrong and change those beliefs based on new evidence. Seems very sane to me.
Yeah, the challenge there is when, that kind of depends on proof, right? But if you're talking about, if you're having a discussion where proof, hard proof, objective proof is not available, then to quote The Big Lebowski, well, like, that's just your opinion, man.
That's true. That's true. And we're also talking about teams and what they're comfortable with. And I've been in the unfortunate position of being the guy on the team that is supposed to move us in the direction of a new stack. And that did not go over well. I was not well liked. And there were plenty of developers who were excited and really wanted to like try and move forward and move away from Drupal and into React land. But there were just as many who were so hesitant, and some violently anti everything that I stood for. So it's an interesting question. Man.
I think in those regards, like, or in those contexts, the most important thing is dealing with people, and just being kind and fair. Because getting everyone to agree on something is tough, and listen to both sides and give them both an equal opportunity. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay, Mr. Diplomat.
Yeah, try to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the human side to it, but I do feel like, yeah, it is, but in an ideal world, it's funny. I have a manager currently or director currently who his goal is to allow people to kind of just like work on what they want to work on, which is like really such a nice concept. And like, I'm enjoying that. I get to do just kind of what I want to do. But then you start to run into that problem. It's like, we have to hire people who want to do the stuff I don't want to do. And do those people exist? I don't know. And so
yeah, that's tough.
There's a reason that we get paid to do this.
Those people do exist, though. Definitely, because I find that
there are CSS heads for sure. That's the stuff I don't want to do.
I'm not talking about specifically what you don't want to do, but I think that there's people in an organization that do the things that no one wants to do, myself included, right? Like, there's a bit of time that I spend working on the things that I want to work on because maybe I need a break, feeling burnt out or whatever. And it's just like, you know what, this one's for me. But a lot of the time it's like, we don't have the people to do all of the things. And I think it's kind of the role of like the senior people in some cases just bite the bullet and be like, well, that's got to be on me because
it's got to get done.
Yeah, it needs to get done. I'm the one that's responsible for the progress of this team, and no one else wants to do it. It's on me.
Yeah, I totally hear that, and I think that in some ways that's what comes with seniority. But to bring it back to just this kind of overall picture of experience as a potential detriment, sometimes by just continuing to do the stuff that nobody else wants to do, we're missing a chance for sometimes maybe automation or an old friend of mine used to say that he was genius level lazy, and I think that procrastination and laziness can sometimes lead to genius solutions, which mostly look like automation, right? So I would say there's some potential that if nobody wants to do something and it still needs to get done, maybe there's an opportunity to automate there. I don't know. Yeah, that's my point. I I think it makes sense. I would not make the argument that experience is pointless and useless and everybody should just be new and not know what they're doing. That's insane. But I do think that experience is weighted a bit too heavily in some aspects, and that having people from disparate backgrounds makes a team really interesting and fun to work on.
Yeah, I think for me the best solution is having some balance between people that are really experienced and know, like, have seen a lot of the pitfalls, like have been through the jungle and like had all like ran into all of the issues, and then having the young bucks that are feeling spry. What is it? Spry.
It's definitely spry.
Spree is like a gum.
Yeah, spree is candy.
Well, they're feeling spree, man.
They're feeling spree.
Yeah. Anyway, they're feeling spry and like really motivated and interested in all these new things and keeping themselves up to date with technology and stuff. And he or she may should have like a platform to challenge the status quo. And I think that the balance is when you have both sides of that equation respectfully listen to each other, being diplomatic, and
some
like
empathy.
and being able to like having a platform to be able to say, hey, I think that we should do this, but then also listening fairly to the feedback and separating your recommendation or separating your code from your person, like how you feel. Like, if your idea gets rejected, that's not a reflection on you.
Unless it is.
Unless you're a jerk and no one on your team likes you.
Oh man, you took it a step further. I like that.
Woo!
So I don't know if this was like helpful for anybody, but this is just some kind of thinking that I have going through my head. We're interviewing people. I'm dealing with people at lots and lots of very varying levels across this industry, and so it just kind of comes to mind, like, the best ideas that I've had in the projects that I've worked on don't come from the most senior people. Some have, but many have not, and so it takes
a team,
just this interesting mix.
Yeah, I think the best ideas are the ones that start here. Everyone brings an ingredient. Like it starts here, and then someone brings over the salt, and someone adds the pepper, and then everyone puts in a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Pull up the table, pull up some chairs, turn some music on, and we start, making some software.
That's awesome.
Food analogies work for me.
So I just now got a text message that creeped me out, and it was, we have your order from Baked Bear. Baked Bear is this local ice cream place that makes like ice cream cookie sandwiches that are like 1,200 calories. I love them. They're so good, but oh man, are they punishing. So I got a message saying your Baked Bear order is on its way. I'm like, somebody steal like my Grubhub account or something.
A surprise for you.
Well, so I'm looking at these text messages. I'm like, what is going on? And then my mom messages me. She's like, I'm sending you a surprise.
Oh, that's cute.
So she's so sweet.
We should have her on the show sometime.
We should. She is
and you should give her my address sometime so that she wants to send some surprises my way. I'm not gonna say no.
Okay, dude. I thought this was going in like a weird direction with my mom, and I'm like,
oh no, come on,
will
man.
Fight you.
Come on. I'm just trying to get some whatever cookie ice cream sandwiches.
Trying to get some ice creams. Yeah. Dude, they make oh no, they don't. Never mind. I'm thinking of Salt and Straw. They make a vegan ice cream at Salt and Straw that's like it's good to my standards of ice cream. It's mind-blowing level vegan stuff, and I don't like. I eat meat. I like that stuff.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking the conversation that we had in private before the show and blasting me on it with my WordPress skills to make a fool out of me in the recorded episodes. That's nice.
You're welcome. My goal is always to make a fool out of you. Clearly, that's my goal, right?
Well, today's score was Grant 1, Austin 0. I'll get you back, though. I'll get you back. No, I thought it was a good point. And it's funny because when we were talking before the show, I was like, no, I don't know.
Yeah, you were not like into this topic.
Yeah, I wasn't getting it. But then no, like that was a good point. Like I saw what you were saying. That's like, I'm holding the hammer of WordPress, and it's like, but man, it just comes down to like I know that I'm going to be the one maintaining it, and I know that I don't want to be doing that in code. Like, well, it's fun. It's cool when everything's set up and working and sexy and super fast. And you're totally right that static site is going to be wicked fast. But for Austin's sanity, I don't know.
Well, I mean, so yeah, I think it depends on like the automation pipeline we set up. If we just need to spit markdown files into, some
it'd be sweet if we could hit like an RSS reader too and automatically bring in the shows. Yeah, it would. I mean, it could be cool. Again, you're talking about more development, more stuff that.
Yeah, but this is genius level lazy where you spend that little bit of time up front and you get the concert tickets because you wrote the scraper bot.
Yep. You
that essentially just DDoSes the Ticketmaster website.
Are you going to build it?
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
All right, let's talk about that in another.
Yeah, let's
at another time.
Do you have any shout outs?
I do actually. I think
Is
I
it
came
Jira
because
you love Jira so much?
It's not Jira. Definitely not. No, I'm going to give a shout out to this New York Times article that I read called "How a Burner Identity Protects Your Inbox." Or your inbox, phone, and credit cards. And it goes through some recommended tools on how to set up like fake disposable inbox, phone numbers, and credit cards, which is pretty cool. There's a couple products in there that I've used before and really like. There's a couple that I didn't know, like the temporary or the burner credit cards. My bank actually has those, so I use those.
That's cool. Yeah, I know that there are products that allow you to do that, and you just like generate. It's almost like a password, like a password app where instead of one password, you have like a credit card number that's set up per account.
Yeah, or you can have like a one-time credit card.
One-time use.
Yeah, it's great.
That's so cool.
We'll have the link. It'll explain everything. The other thing that one of the products that I do that was in there that I want to give a shout out to that looks cool is Sudo. It's at mysudo.com. And that looks like it does like all of those things all baked into one. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out. Play with it.
Cool. That's
how about you?
Yeah, mine is not nearly as like life-changing. I don't know. It could be. People might really be into this. So I was talking with a coworker early today and he was like, "Hey, are you into music?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I like music." And I know like I think I gave a shout out to some hip hop before. So this is a little bit different. This is Mode Selector. This is an electronic artist, but the album specifically that I've been listening to is called Extended, and oh wow, it is incredible. The quality of the samples that they're using in this is very, very high, which I find like a lot of music, especially electronic music, will use like low quality samples, and there's actually like a whole genre like lo-fi that they pride themselves on how shitty their samples are, and like that's great for that genre. But this is incredible. This group has like connections to Tom York and like Radiohead, cool. Dating back to I guess like the early 2000s. Like they're quality music, quality samples arranged in a quality way. treat your ear holes. Mode
Quality.
selector extended.
Sweet. Well, Grant, thanks for taking the lead on this one. I thought it was pretty interesting, and hopefully listeners did too. If you did and you want to reach Grant, you can find him online at where? Twitter, best place? Grant Gladwell?
I'm Grant Gladwell.
Grant Gladwell.
I'm Grant Gladwell.
Yeah, you can find us or the show at the FN Call, thefncall.com, anywhere, Apple Music, Google Play, pretty much anywhere there's podcasts. So please like and subscribe and give us a follow. And if you don't like it,
you can vuxed yourself.
Yeah, go get vuxed.
Oh God.
Oh man. All right. I'll catch you later.
Bye.